In the post-leaders debate scrum last night, Alberta Premier Rachel Notley continued her party's character assassination of hundreds of thousands of regular Albertans. I'll show you what she said and where I think it's going to lead if she keeps this up.
In terms of his concerns around my pointing out the significant challenges that he's facing on the matter of the RCMP investigation, on the matter of the systemic problem he has with racism in his party and homophobia, well, I'm sorry. That is the record. And if he's uncomfortable with his record, he should have a good old talk with himself. I will not step away from calling out racism. I will not step away from pointing out that the fellow who wants to be premier, the people who are involved in his leadership race are currently talking to the RCMP, and there is an active investigation into an element of that leadership race, which is connected to his campaign. So these are things that people need to know about the person that is thinking about being premier. I mean, it just is what it is. I wish it wasn't divisive. The last campaign wasn't that way because that wasn't the history of the leaders who were running for office at that time. People who are worried about the economy, worried about jobs, I share that concern. I think about that every morning when I get up, every night when I go to bed. But it is not the case that people have to say, I'm so worried about jobs that I'm going to forget my better self and I'm going to turn a blind eye to what appears to be a party that is rife with people who have very, very disturbing views, which are deeply out of line with the values of Albertans. We can be the open, diverse, welcoming place that this province is and focus on creating jobs, bring the budget into balance in a responsible way, and invest in our schools and our kids. And I think that tonight, Mr. Kenney had an opportunity to level with Albertans.
Isn't that gross? That's how Notley responds to losing, or at the very least not winning, the leaders' debate last night. She answered 3 successive questions about jobs, more jobs, and healthcare, with deflections to how the 160,000 Albertans who joined the UCP, most with the motivation of getting rid of Rachel Notley herself, are racist, homophobic, Islamophobic, extremist, etc. Instead of people who just want pipelines, jobs, and a premier who doesn't call them names at every opportunity. Notley may be smiling there, but it's the mask that hides her contempt for Albertans and maybe her contempt for her own poor debate performance last night. Can you imagine how she's going to hate Albertans after they prosecute her at the ballot box for how she treated them and let others treat them over the past 4 years? She never defended us once. Let me show you where I think all this constant demonization and dehumanization has led on our streets and in our own yards. I was just sent a video by a frustrated Albertan. His United Conservative Party lawn signs kept being removed from his lawn, his private property. So he set up a dash cam to catch the culprit, who is really a trespasser, a vandal, a lawbreaker. Just watch this. So to be clear, this isn't the first time this individual UCP supporter's signs have been stolen. It's happened before. And here's where the problem with Rachel Notley's overheated rhetoric about United Conservative Party supporters and members is beginning to manifest itself. An NDP candidate named John Archer last week had the audacity to insinuate that a UCP candidate from Nigeria is somehow supporting white supremacy because he stood beside my StopNotley.com book sign in an Instagram picture. I mean, it's utter insanity. Notley has spent the last 4 years calling Albertans extremists, white supremacists, homophobic, sewer rats, xenophobes, embarrassing cousins, and Islamophobic. The implication is such that conservatives now are some form of crypto-neo-Nazi just for rejecting Notley's far-left ideology and failed plans for the province. Notley often says this sort of garbage right to the media. Just like she did last night in the media, they never call her on it. Why? Because they believe it about you too. It's outrageous to say these things about 160,000 UCP members and countless of thousands of more UCP voters, the majority of voters in Alberta, as Rachel Notley is going to find out in about 11 days from now. For the NDP true believers, if these folks are really Nazis and extremists, and Nazis are really the worst people in the world, which is, as it should be, the general consensus in humanity, then why isn't it okay to steal from a crypto-Nazi? Why can't you trespass on his land? But this can get even worse than trespass and vandalism. What then is stopping radicalized NDPers from punching people with UCP signs? Punch Nazis. Isn't that the mantra? Notley has these people so worked up with her constant and malicious libel. They now see the UCP signs and the stopnotley.com signs for that matter as swastikas, symbols of white supremacy. Someone is going to get hurt. An NDP supporter named Dion Buse assaulted me on camera at the Women's March in 2016, just last week. My rebel colleague Cian Bexty was shoved, verbally abused, and followed for 16 blocks for trying to do his job as a journalist and report on an NDP rally at the legislature. It was all caught on camera, and the bad behavior wasn't denounced by the NDP. Instead, it was applauded and then justified. Because as you see, Cian is conservative, and therefore, I guess, he's evil. Sorry, but not everybody with a different vision of Alberta's economy is evil, and they certainly aren't white supremacist. The only person this sort of Notley NDP freakout helps is actual white supremacists, because now they get lumped in with all the normal people, everyone to the right of Chairman Mao, which brings me to the logical conclusion that the only political party doing the work to normalize white supremacy in this election is the NDP. For the Rebel.media, I'm Sheila Gunn Reid. Hey, do you have my new book? It's called Stop Notley, and it makes the case for throwing out the NDP. I detail all the abuse Rachel Notley hurled at normal Albertans over the past 4 years. To get my book, go to stopnotley.com, and while you're there, be sure to sign up for one of those fun orange stopnotley.com lawn signs that caused all the controversy this week. That's at stopnotley.com.